A unique and interesting game that takes a look at not a hero, but someone who fails often. The issue isn't that Otis, the main character, gives up. No, he takes that failure and tries again. A good quote to tie in who Otis is, "Failure will never overtake me if my determination to succeed is strong enough," by Og Mandino, who wrote The Greatest Salmon in the World, a good book in itself that you should definitely check out. Otis personifies this thought. His biggest challenge, you see, is that he cannot speak. Thus, being mute, people tend to abuse his silence. Along the way, you find that, yes, this story is about friendship, as you meet many unique characters who will be there for you throughout the game, but also a story about death and loss and overcoming unsurmountable odds. Like we said, you are a hero in a sense. You still have triumphant moments in this game, though what is introduced as a level of doubt, insecurity, and imperfection that most games seem to gloss over. Not just with Otis, there are moments where each character in your band is sitting looking within themselves as they have committed something that they thought was right at the time, only to find out it ended up in a colossal error. Everyone watching, I'm sure you have all experienced something in your lives that we thought was the right decision at the time. Say, a boyfriend or girlfriend who we thought was the one, then ended up leaving you high and dry. Or say an investment into something a friend was saying was going to make it, only to leave you with empty pocketbooks. With Owlboy, they focus on this type of failure. The kind that leaves you at the beginning knowing you're the hero from which you will resolve the conflict. As a good slap in the face, you find out that not only you started the conflict, but you helped to propel it. I won't divulge in spoilers as the game is pretty short and a sweet game worth a few hours invested for the intriguing story. It's that it's a kid's game with a message way above its age range. There are several factors I wanted to look into for this review: the art style, gameplay, and story. The styling of this game, as you can see on screen, is a throwback to the 8 to 16-bit styling. It doesn't have the same limited color palette as those games had, but more open. As you can enter wide open spaces, the camera pans out, allowing for details to shrink, making hand-designed structures and environments take shape. In contrast, when you're in tight spaces and you're right next to Otis, allowing for a more intimate inspection. Even then, you can see the details and handwork put into the style. The pixel art styling is effective, with allowing the sprites to come to life as individual characters, while Otis can be seen standing off to the side with eyes wide in a tense moment, or Getty shivering, covering his head. Otis does remain silent, but the characters all around him have a wealth of dialogue, allowing for some emotional moments of storytelling. Along with that, you have the music that draws you in. I'm finding in most Metroidvanias, the music is on just a whole nother level. You find yourself running along while this chase music aptly moves you. Maybe it's a moment of reprieve as you float through areas going to a next big region. Along with the movement from trees or clouds briskly moving in the wind, allowing for an environment that feels alive and lived in. The art style, music, and so much more just brings this little gem further up in my rating. At first glance, it may look like another pixel art Metroidvania, but it has so much more depth. Gameplay, like any platformer, is about finding new skills, as at the start, you're but a wee old fledgling. Owlboy is not at all different. You start with the ability to fly, which you have already been mocked about from your teacher through the introduction. Otis, as we find, isn't helpless along the way. You start with the ability to fly and slowly learn new abilities like spinning or rolling. You may have noticed, I didn't mention anything about fighting. That's because Otis's one fighting ability is that spin. What you end up doing is carrying several different characters around. You start with your best bud, Getty, who is armed with a tiny short-ranged but very quick shooting pistol. Later on, you get a character with a cannon-style shotgun that can blast not only enemies but obstacles out of the way. Like a true Metroidvania, you will not get those characters till they're unlocked, which happens along with the story. It may seem like a chore to swap between the characters. Actually, it felt very streamlined. The only issue I had with the characters was the ability to aim. It wasn't the best, while trying to control not only Otis, but say Getty to dodge and shoot. It may be that in my brain I distinguish two different people, thus the inability to fully get that down, or a slight issue with the gameplay. Throughout the map, you will find seeds planted that you can tug out for extra health, and that's it for health. Right along with carrying your friends, you can pick up different items throughout the map. Sometimes something heavy needs to be moved to be set on a pressure plate to open a door, or you need to grab a NPC minion that blows up when you throw them to get through a hidden wall. You can throw that minion, then immediately summon your friend, as there is a pretty cool teleportation option. Along the way, the environment can be hostile, sometimes overwhelming as enemies come out of the woodwork. Most boss fights are more of a balance of dancing around the attacks over being able to fight. You dodge with Otis while continuously shooting rounds with Getty. My only concern with boss fights, or escape sequences, which if you've watched my Ori review, you would know, I definitely dislike those. Yes, an escape sequence is great, and once you beat it, it's a rewarding experience. Along the way, you have to work over and over and over again to get it down. As I was going to say, the dislike is that once you die, you have to start over at the beginning of said challenge, which can cause frustration, especially after an intense battle, or rushing through an area. Eventually, you'll get past those points though, and when you do, that's when you're introduced to another story sequence. Story in this game is the main force, the piece de resistance. What is lacking in gameplay is made up with the story. Now, gameplay isn't bad, it just had some quirks that was overshadowed with the story you find. The game is relatively short, about 8 to 10 hours for a playthrough, as the story itself is very linear, pushing you towards the next destination. There are moments of reprieve, allowing for more exploration, but that is really more to see if you can find hidden gems and doesn't really contribute to the story. What really helps with the story are your main group of friends you pick up along the way. The teacher starts out ridiculing you, letting you know you can't do anything, which causes you to want to try harder to show him wrong. Along with your friends, there's a ton of personal growth and development in the characters. For example, you feel the loss when Getty, upset, storms off, leaving you alone. You feel guilt, as if maybe you've caused the anger. Otis does care for those around him. He may not be able to speak, but he is there for his friends time and time again. Seeing Getty like that makes you want to go comfort him, or to help smooth over the issues going on. What this does is help to translate a very in-depth story that helps to carry you to the end of the game, causing even old Grizzly here to tear up. The NPCs in the world are all interesting characters, from a bongo slapping NPC to a child who looks like she may be better off as Darla in Finding Nemo. When you sit waiting, you can see your characters twiddling their thumbs or making different movements to pass the time, causing for a more immersive story, further helping to integrate you into this world. Overall, this little game is a joy to play. You find out a lot about life, friendships, and loss in this game. There are devastating moments with the story, and times you're so frustrated with the gameplay you could just chuck your controller. I enjoyed this game immensely. I would give the game a 9 out of 10, but due to some major gameplay quirks I just can't get over, my final review score is an 8 out of 10. I definitely recommend you play this game. If you're into Metroidvanias, it's a very short game, but the story is oh so good. Just so much depth. Plus, another awesome thing with these small games is that they are always so much cheaper than a AAA title. For me, this is more than a treat. This is a heartfelt experience that will touch anyone playing it. Make sure to jump into this bittersweet tale of an engrossing story, an amazing supporting cast, and constantly charming visuals. I hope you enjoyed my Owlboy review. If you enjoyed my video, please leave a like and a comment below on what you'd like about this video, or if you had any other games you'd like me to check out. If you'd like to help support the channel, make sure you click subscribe. This is the Still Grizzly, wishing you best of luck with all your future games.